They're some of the fastest growing companies of the last year, and they still have a lot of steam ahead for 2026. Joining me now is MarketBeat analyst Jeffrey Neal Johnson. He has a list of 3 AI software pure play companies to look at today. And Jeffrey, this comes from a viewer, right?
Yeah, this actually, the last one that we did was infrastructure. One of the viewers made a comment that we talk a lot about infrastructure and we talk a lot about chips, but we don't talk a lot about software. And so I decided to push an article out.
Yeah, this is an interesting one, and you will recognize a few of these names, but these are really strong companies to talk about, that some of them are struggling a little bit this year. It'll be interesting to see what the outlook is for these software pure plays in the new year. Let's get right into the list, Jeffrey. What is the first company that makes the top of your list of AI software pure plays?
Okay, so the first company is going to be Palantir, and everybody knows Palantir. They're pretty much considered the undisputed gorilla in the AI space. They're the only one on the S&P 500, and they are bridging the gap between highly classified government intelligence and commercial enterprise operation. So if you think about like chips and you compare them to something like your cell phone, Palantir provides the operating system for that phone.
Yeah, this is a name many of our viewers are very familiar with, a business that many of our viewers are familiar with. I want to talk a little bit about how much growth Palantir is seen in that consumer sector. We heard so much about Palantir and government contracts, but Chris normally talks about Palantir, and he has focused in on how much of Palantir's growth is actually coming from that consumer sector. Do we see more catalysts coming for that area?
I think there will be more catalysts for that area. Their most recent earnings report was really great. It was a beat and raise. So they recently partnered with Accenture, and Accenture is an engineering workforce temp type agency. And the partnership with Accenture, it addresses directly the biggest problem that Palantir's had, and that's been their sales volume. But they've gone from this really long traditional sales process to this basically boot camp where a trained Accenture engineer or tech will come in and actually install the Palantir OS onto their data level. And so once they go in, install the stuff, and start showing, look at all these great things you can do, the sales flow is almost instantly. So you can expect that in 2026, a lot more commercial catalysts to go along with the government catalyst, like the Ship OS platform that they're building for the submarine force.
Yeah, Palantir is really getting into many, many different areas and continues to see that growth. Like you said, the earnings report was so good. But we can't talk about Palantir without talking about the elephant in the room, which is the expense of this stock. This is the valuation that has so many retail investors, really investors in general, concerned about this stock. And I think it's one of the first stocks that people are watching to see, will that AI bubble burst? Could this massive valuation, this crazy PE ratio, finally implode for Palantir? What's your take on that?
My take on it is that there's a little bit too much focus on their PE ratio. I like to look at a statistic called the rule of 40, and that's basically your growth and your profit margin, and it needs to exceed 60%. They're very healthy when you apply the rule of 40. It shows that they're balancing their growth with what they're spending, so they're growing and spending at the right rate, and they stay true to that rule of 40. So really their price to earnings ratio doesn't matter, because as long as they adhere to the growth concepts of the rule of 40, you can pretty much see that their growth could be never ending. As long as they don't trip and fall, or they don't have some major setback, those two numbers together show that there's still a lot of room to grow.
Yeah, well, they certainly had quite a rise to the price action that they've seen. I mean, the last year, the amount of growth this company's seen has been so impressive. And so it will be interesting to see. I know Chris is one who'll say he doesn't expect that growth to continue at that same rapid pace in 2026, but growth is still definitely a story for Palantir. Thanks for sharing your take on this stock. It's great to hear another perspective on Palantir. Now, we know that Palantir is no longer considered that small cap that it was really just a year ago. But if you're looking for other small cap names names. We have 2 more coming on this list here today. We also have an article that just came out on the 5 small cap stocks with impressive growth and upside potential ahead. This is a premium article you can read for free just for watching our YouTube video today. Scan the QR code or click the link down in the description to get that free report on 5 small cap stocks with impressive growth and upside potential. You can see that list right now. All right, Jeffrey, let's move on to that second name on your list of pure play AI software companies.
Okay, so the second name on our list is going to be SoundHound. And, a minute ago when we were talking about Palantir, we compared the product, like the operating system on your phone or on your computer. SoundHound provides the voice assistant, okay? Google and Amazon, of course, have leading industry voice assistants, but the problem is they own your data. So SoundHound provides a way for you to provide voice assistance to your customers in a highly customizable way that allows you to retain ownership of your data. And it's currently being used by major names like Stellantis. So if you have a Jeep, the voice assistant in your Jeep is SoundHound. If you go to Jersey Mike's and you drive through their AI powered drive through, that's a SoundHound product as well. So they've got contracts out there that they're pushing their product, and they've got test beds where they're testing their things out. But when it comes to the AI pure play of like software voice assistant, software recognition, SoundHound is probably the one play that's out there that's the best one for you.
Yeah, there's been a lot of positive sentiment for SoundHound over the last couple of years. A lot of people excited about this company and the growth it's seen, but there has been so much volatility in this stock. Let's talk about what's behind some of that volatility.
A lot of the volatility they've been buying up other companies. We talked about in the infrastructure video previously that we're going from, and this is the lull. So the lull that everybody is seeing is that AI is transitioning from a plaything, a science project, to a if you can't show me that it makes money, then I don't want it kind of a situation. For SoundHound, they have had their moment of science experiment, and so have many other companies doing exactly what SoundHound has. So just like the dot-com era, now is the era of mergers and acquisitions. And so SoundHound, being the major player in that particular niche, has been out there buying up companies like Amelia. They've been spending a lot of money on acquisitions, obviously. And so you see them burning cash. Their earnings reports are not great. This next Q4 earnings report is going to be like their show me quarter. They're expected to either say that they're profitable or guide for near term profitability, because they have slated for first half 2026 profitability. So now, with the depressed stock price that they have really across the sector, would be an excellent time to consider a position with SoundHound, because when they come out with their Q4 earnings report, if they actually do guide for first half profitability, like they've been saying they're going to do, it could cause an event on the stock.
It's definitely an if question, but I think that that is what analysts have been thinking too. One other thing to point out with SoundHound is that the consensus price target, there's quite a bit of upside ahead from where the stock is trading right now. Again, like you said, it's on that lower end of its range, and analysts are still pretty bullish on that. Have we seen any recent price target adjustments where analysts are changing their story on what they think the future could hold?
So over the course of December, there has been two analyst changes. One has been a raise of a couple dollars to, I think, $17. And then the other has been taking it from a buy to a strong buy. So the analyst action there is excellent, because they are seeing that SoundHound, when they acquired Amelia, they started creating a backlog. And now they have somewhere around a 600 or $700 million backlog. And that's going to provide, if you look at what they're producing currently, a $600 to $700 million backlog will provide revenue visibility for about a year.
And the backlog is a really interesting story for this one. And it points to a positive sign of potentially that earnings report that you're talking about could have some strong numbers. We'll see. The one question I have on SoundHound is, once they fulfill an order, once a company purchases the software, do they continue to earn money from that customer over time? Or is it a one-time purchase? I'm really curious about the product in itself. If this continues to make revenue, or once they kind of meet their customer base, is at the end of the story for SoundHound?
It's the nature of software to never be finished. Whether the software that they're providing to the customer runs locally on their systems, whether it runs on top of Palantir's OS, or whether it runs through SoundHound's own hub, they're going to need consistent updating. There's going to need to be consistent changes, maybe have different voices. I mean, this is definitely a situation where people don't want to interface with AI by typing in a one paragraph question with their thumbs. They want to talk to it, right? And that's just the way it goes. There's without a doubt, there's dozens of papers that have been produced saying that the way to interface with AI is going to be through sound. So having the leading AI sound recognition and integration software out there really puts them in a great position as the next phase of the AI story takes off. While they're depressed, just like the entire market and just like this entire sector, I don't think that in the long term the analyst revisions are high enough. I think in the short term they're adequate, but I think that this one has a long way to go. This is a long story. It's a long hold if you believe that the next phase of AI is going to be voice versus keyboard.
So interesting. I've loved SoundHound for a while. Thomas Hughes has been very bullish on SoundHound for quite a few years. And I think that the low that it's at has us really appealing to me. The last stock on your list is also a really interesting speculative play, one I've considered for a while too. But I think I'm going to give you the Bridget's buy reveal right now because I like SoundHound. I think that this one, especially where it's at right now, I think that's why it has me intrigued for adding it onto my watch list right now. If you haven't checked it out yet, it's marketbeat.com/Bridget. I pick one stock every video. It's fun to watch how the stock moves and performs over the months after we talk about it. So this has been a great way to follow some of the stocks we talk about on the channel. And today I want to add SoundHound simply because I'm excited about the analyst outlook for this stock and the entry point of where it is right now. So that's the one I'm adding to Bridget's buys right now. But this third company, Jeffrey, this one is really interesting and was a close second for me for adding to the watch list because this one has some potential, but it does seem maybe a little riskier.
When we talked about with Palantir being the operating system and you have the SoundHound being your voice assistant, Big Bear AI's application parses through data and it parses through primarily video data. So we talked about how the next phase of AI is primarily going to be audio driven. I feel like the next phase of AI inference will also be video driven. When you think about things like the government, security, I mean, so many video feeds. Big Bear AI's software can be placed on top of an OS, like let's say Palantir's OS, and they can utilize that software to parse through video feeds. Find this guy. Here's a picture of a guy. Go through these video feeds, find it. Go through these video feeds and find out how many times people looked at this particular section of shelving. Whatever it is, that's what the software does. The big thing about Big Bear AI, though, they recently closed their Pangium acquisition. Okay. And what that did is it allowed them to pivot because Pangium was biometrics and vision AI. So before this pivot, Big Bear AI was kind of a staffing company. So they had some AI capabilities, but if you needed a lot of data parsed through a spreadsheet, they would hire 50 or 60 people to parse that data, and then they would charge you for those people. Well, the business of providing temporary workforce labor provides about a 15% profit margin. Video inference has about a 60% profit margin. Now, when they bought this Vision AI company that they just bought, the Pangium company, they also got multiple government certifications that mimic the same certifications as Palantir. So it will allow, for instance, now the government to build a system for, let's say, the transportation industry, where they have a secured Palantir OS and a Big Bear AI video monitoring system combined together to monitor trucks going down an interstate, to monitor pretty much anything else.
Yeah, that's a dangerous combination, it sounds like. This is the kind of talk where if you're not a huge fan of AI, this might sound a little more frightening Big Brother type of discussion. But that aside, I think there is a lot of potential for the future success for both companies. I think we've had a video over a year ago now almost talking about Big Bear being the next Palantir. We saw such a run up in Big Bear stock and it has come down quite a bit. Do you see more volatility ahead for this one? I think a lot of people who invested in Big Bear a while ago when we were first talking about it are waiting for that turnaround to come. What are analysts expecting? What are you expecting on what Big Bear could do in 2026?
I see that there will be a lot of volatility for Big Bear, as well as the entire AI sector. We're moving to a consolidation and a show me phase. It creates a lot of situations where the slightest hiccup can cause major swings in a price change, whether it's to the positive or to the negative. Big Bear in 2026, they had the Pangiam acquisition where they got the biometrics and the visual side of things. They also recently acquired a company called Ask Sage that gave them AI chatbot side of things, much like SoundHound has. And it also gives them the LLM chat kind of thing. They could become similar to Palantir because you got to remember, Palantir is an operating system and Big Bear AI is an app. The future story for AI isn't like a winner take all scenario because let's talk about, the previous thing where we were talking about with the Department of Transportation or some other government entity. They're going to need the operating system and they're going to need the apps, right? Big Bear AI is trying to get all of the apps. They're still so fledgling, and the switch up from, oh, this is cute to if it doesn't make money, I don't want it, is going to put a pretty nice spotlight on Big Bear AI, and they, recently raised, like, 456 million dollars, 455, $460 million in cash. So, they have the money now to start acquiring, like SoundHound has been acquiring as well, and start building their portfolio of apps that they can start pushing out to their customers.
Sort of like building their own infrastructure. And if you missed that video with Jeffrey where he's talking about the AI infrastructure stocks he's watching in 2026, make sure to catch it here.